critical vulnerability affecting most Linux distros allows for bootkits. So quoting the article, Linux developers are in the process of patching a high severity vulnerability that in certain cases allows the installation of malware that runs at the firmware level, giving infections access to the deepest parts of a device where they're hard to detect or remove. The vulnerability resides in Shim, which in the context of Linux is a small component that runs in the firmware early in the boot process before the operating system has started. Successful exploitations of the vulnerability allow attackers to neutralize this mechanism by executing malicious firmware at the earliest stages of the boot process before the unified extensible firmware interface firmware has loaded and handed off control to the operating system. That's as technical as I'm going to get. It's a very technical article. It goes over exactly how it works, the challenges that developers are facing in patching this, so on and so forth. But at the very end here, because, whenever I see one of these stories, my first question is always like, okay, what do we do about this? The harm from successful exploitation is serious and is reason for the severity rating of 9.8 out of 10. People should install patches promptly once they become available. It's usually the case with these Linux vulnerabilities is, just update. I mean, for most vulnerabilities, that's usually the case is just update your system. Again, I remember I said this last week. If you're a Linux user, you're probably already pretty good about that. So just, keep an eye on it in the coming weeks. Make sure you're staying updated.